Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Millett, and my father, Bob Millett, was the founding pastor, I guess, at Fairland Church when we met out at the camp where he was the camp manager.
Okay, I'm speaking today about the history of the Fairland Christian Church and how it affected me and my family.
Happy anniversary, Fairland, 46 years. That's a long time ago.
Hi, my name is George Fletcher. My wife and I, Dora, and our kids, Michelle and Matthew, attended Fairland Church quite a few years ago.
We did not live real close to the church, but we, like many people, we came because we wanted a church that was close to us personally. And the church satisfied a lot of those needs. It had excellent leadership with General Fletcher kind of leading the congregation. And the one that reminds me most about knowledge of the Bible was Claude Small. He was a silent person, never spoke much, but when he spoke, we all listened. Everyone listened. And I worked with him a couple times. He came out to my asparagus farm, and we had just a casual conversation. Enjoyed that immensely. And it was a thrill to have somebody like that would take the time to relay things in his life that would maybe appear in your life, but maybe in little different circumstances. But how did the scripture apply?
I remember Claude Small, and Elsie Small would be out here days burning the brush, getting the property ready. Building the building, many members of the congregation did things. Many laid the block for the work for the foundation. Jay Thomas actually crawled up into the attic, blew the insulation in the attic.
I remember like a lot of the early meetings. They held them there out at my parents' home with some folks that were interested in just doing something on the north side of Niles and bringing people in. Jim and Jean Fletcher, Claude and Margie Cooper, and her mom, Grandma Feast, is how we knew her, and a number of other folks, the Smalls, Claude and Elsie Small, and they all were looking. They lived kind of on the north side, and they wanted something, different for folks there. And so that's a lot of the early memories. It's just these were folks that either I knew from attending the Christian church there in Niles or through the camp. And so when the opportunity to kind of start a church with them, it was very exciting because they were all folks that were generally much older than my parents, but I still, had a lot of respect, and they treated me well as a young person. So it was very exciting.
At that time, I was working at Burger Chef as a hostess. And a gentleman came in quite often and sat and had coffee. And that gentleman was General Fletcher. Mike and I both knew him from previous times, and he told me that they had started a new church out at Michiana Christian Service Camp. And he said, "Are you and Mike going anywhere now?" And I said, "Well, I teach Sunday school at the Grace Methodist Church, and that's where Mike and I got married. And he comes sometimes, but not every Sunday. And he said, well, tell Mike that I'd like him to come and visit out at our church. I said, well, okay, I'll tell him. And I had been praying that Mike would start coming to church with us. And so that evening when he got home, I told him I had talked with Jimro and told him about the church they started. So the following Sunday, we did go and visit Fairland. And then the Sunday after that, we got up on Sunday morning and I was getting the girls ready to go to Sunday school. And Mike was getting ready in his dress clothes. And I said, oh, you're going to go to church with us? And he said, no, I'm going to go out to Fairland Church again. And he said, and I would like you to tell them at Grace that this will be your last Sunday to teach Sunday school, because I want us all to start going to Fairland. And that was answered prayer. It wasn't answered quite the way I thought it would be, but I am so thankful that God knows best, because after we started coming here to Fairland, Bob Millett and Jimro came to our house. We did Bible studies. We learned so much more than we had realized, that we could really have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I know that this church was started because the people out on that plaque out there loved God, and they wanted the word to spread north of Niles. And I'm thankful for each one of them.
Carol was almost universal, playing the musical instrument, piano, and she also took care of the ladies' side of things, both as being a teacher, but just being take care of the ladies' things us men can't do. And she was willing to do it, just, you didn't have to ask her. She just automatically stepped in there and did the program, you know. She worked outside doing bookkeeping, I think. But she also was wonderful from the newborn baby up to the teenage years. She just satisfied all of them.
It was cold in the winters. All we had were these large not even forced air, but they were these big heaters, very noisy in the dining hall to heat it. And so the cold stayed in the cement. And we actually, over time, bought some Oriental rugs and rolled those out and had to set the chairs then on that to help keep our feet warm. One of the memories, and I was talking to my mom about this, and she reminded me that a lot of these ladies that were in the very beginning would never be caught dead going to church in slacks. That just wasn't done in that era, but it was too darn cold. And so here these, 60, 70, 80-year-old ladies are wearing slacks to church. And it was an interesting way of moving through the 70s that, things are now very much more accepted than they would have been then. But we did it out of necessity.
We hired somebody to set the trusses. And because we didn't have the ability to know how to do it. My father-in-law brought his truck up. He had a sign business. He had a winch, a sign. It was a big boom truck, but it was all hand cranked. and the trusses were laid out in the parking lot, and everybody, men, women, children, everybody pitched in because we wanted to get the trusses done that night. And the gentleman says, well, there's no way that we can get that done. There's a lot of work. Well, by the end of the night, we had them all set. And he says, I'm so impressed that I will donate my time. So there is an issue where you're witnessing, you don't even know you're witnessing, but you are witnessing. Okay, I remember at the time, Bill Small and I, we got a U-Haul truck and drove all the way to Sumter to move the Fleshman family back home. Drove straight down, loaded everything up, we got a meal, drove straight back. Well, I think if I did that today, it'd take me a couple days down, a couple days back. But so another good memory here is when my family and I, we moved from here to Philadelphia for my job. Our family was presented a aluminum foiled coat hanger. Now, if you want more information on that, you can ask Mike Jacobs about that after the service today.
I enjoyed the congregational luncheons that we had. It was the time when we just all got to know each other as a family. And it was always nice to have a new addition come into the family, whether it was the form of a baby or a young adult. We enjoyed that. Like I said, we became a real close family.
Because of really only having one large room in the dining hall, we didn't really have anywhere for a nursery. And so we utilized the nurse's cabin, which actually had, a separate heating and could be kept warm, unlike the dining hall. Okay. And my mom was the first person to run the nursery. And so the parents with smaller children would walk them up to the nurse's cabin there at the camp and drop them off and then come back for service. So it was kind of a unique setting, but we knew the kids would be warm and they were obviously safe when they were with my mom. So it was an interesting way that this are the things we had to do to get by based on the location we were meeting in. It was more important for us to meet than for us to have all the niceties that so many people think about in their churches today. One of the founding members really had stopped attending church for years, probably 10 years or more. And he wasn't upset with God. He just wasn't happy with the folks at the church where they were attending. And I think that was a lot of the impetus for my dad to really try to help him come back into the church. He didn't lose his faith. He didn't lose his salvation, but he lost that fellowship. Yeah. And so by being able to provide that, my dad really felt we can reach out to some other folks that may feel disenfranchised or have never attended church, because you're walking into a dining hall. You're not walking into some fancy church building where everybody talks in hushed tones and anything like that. We wanted it to be just a gathering place for people to sing hymns and to sing praise songs and to be fed the word, basically.